By 2050, there is expected to be 9 billion people in the world. With the land we already have now, it is impossible to feed the world. And we have even less if the cities spread out like they are currently. The only hope to feed the world is through better farming practices and better crops. Personally, I think the best way to do this is through GMOs, which are genetically modified organisms. Many people don't actually approve of the use of GMOs because they think it's not natural, and scientists altered the genetics of the plant. But in reality, they just made it possible for them to grow their own insecticide and to survive when sprayed with Roundup or other weed-killing sprays. As Life Science stated, a GMO is an organism that had its DNA altered or modified in some way through genetic engineering. The scientist takes a productive gene from one organism and transfers it to another through genetic engineering. This can be protected against rootworm and grasshoppers, or even to be resistant to chemical weeds that aren't like Roundup or Select. With the creation of Roundup-ready crops, farmers are able to farm more acres with less work, because they have to worry less about weeds killing the bugs and killing their crops before they get the chance to grow to their fullest potential. One of the first GMOs was Roundup-ready corn. With the corn, we no longer had to worry about cultivating. This is basically like dragging plows in between the rows of beans and corn and hoping it didn't kill the crops by turning the soil around them. This method wasn't very effective and easily killed the crops if the tractor driver wasn't driving perfectly in a straight line. Now we can spray Roundup and a mix of other chemicals on our crops, this effectively killing the weeds, with no chance of losing crops, and it's a lot faster and more effective with fewer uses. Without GMOs, there would be many, many more smaller farmers, because it's impossible to farm near as much as we do now without worrying about the weeds. My mom works for Monsanto, a large seed company and chemical company that produces many GMOs. According to Harvard University, Monsanto was made famous for creating and marketing the first major GMO, which is Roundup-ready soybeans, which were marketed in 1997. This was instantly met with controversy, and there is still anti-GMO protests all over the world. Some people hate that GMOs can be in our food supply. I think that this is because they don't understand it. In reality, changing the genes of plants has been changing through selected breeding since early prehistory. If you look past maize and steppes and how they turned it into corn, you can see how it looks like genes have radically changed through selected breeding. It changed from 4 to 8 stalks per plant to 1 with 2 big ears. I have always been raised that GMO has always been a good thing, but some protesters believe that changing genes will taint the genes of other plants and will spread to others. But what they don't realize is the seeds are actually sterile, so they can't even breed at all. Opposing people say that with the spray in GMOs, they use more spray with GMOs. This isn't true, because the plants actually produce their own insecticide, eliminating the need for that. I believe that GMOs are the future of agriculture, because of the ability that we have to change the traits of plants to make them produce more, or even make them immune to disease, such as ring spot virus. According to the Slate, 20 years ago, papayas in Hawaii were targeted with the ring spot virus, a virus that destroyed them quickly, and it seemed like there was nothing to do to stop it. They tried selected breeding, crop rotation, and quarantine, but nothing would work. Monsanto made a ring spot resistant kind of papaya that made plants thrive in Hawaii again, and was given to farmers free to save the species. But sadly, when the people that opposed GMOs found out the papayas were, they burned it to the ground, and many more plants were destroyed by Greenpeace protesters that believed they could later mutate into something more harmful for the people around them. In conclusion, I don't really think that there is anything bad about GMOs, and no reason for people to hate them like they do. And I don't believe they will ever destroy the world. I believe that they will help feed people, and I hope people realize there is potential as its potential as a planet-feeding tool. If everyone chose to use them, the world would produce many, many more bushels of cash crops.